Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the Musings of Maverick channel. Maverick here bringing to you episode 5 of Tower of God. Before we begin, a quick little shout out, I guess you could say. My channel has finally reached 2,000 subscribers, so yay! Big thank you to all you guys who came along. Some of you guys were here since the very beginning, and of course, since this is a new series and a quite popular series at that, a big shout out to all you new friends as well, new viewers who came to subscribe to my channel. Now, personally, I'm not one who typically does a lot of celebration or whatnot, so with that in mind, well, let's just get back to business, shall we? So anyways, episode 5, Tower of God. Last episode, we saw Kun put up some moves, right? A little bit, just a little bit, a sneak peek of what he's capable of. Although, of course, we already know that all three of them, Bam, Kun, and Rak, have quite deep potential, right? We weren't able to see anything from Rak yet, but I suspect that's probably going to happen in this episode, considering that Rachel's team seems to be preparing to enter the fray. So, last episode, we got a little bit of a taste of the actual battles, right? But I think it's fair to say that the real battle starts here. So, with that in mind, let's get right down to it. Alright, I skipped the opening as usual. Let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. I do kind of wonder if he's gonna just like, be irrelevant for the entire episode. What is his ability? Is it copy? Duplicate? Something like that? Hmm. And thank you for being the narrator, man. Rak's turn? Yeah! Oh. Dude, you just tossed your weapon. Seriously? Just from the wind pressure? Wow. Alright, like I said, now is when the real battle is about to begin. Oh, are they going to literally wait until the 5th round? Okay, they're probably gonna wait until the 5th round. So, I spoke a little bit too early. Oh? um... Yeah, you're quite cute, Kun. There has to be like some fan art of Kun as a lady, right? I've no doubt that that probably is out on the internet somewhere. Genderbender Kun. What is it again? Rule 36? Rule 64? Oh. Oh, he's gonna let them fight themselves? No, not gonna work. Ooh. Just like that? Huh. Huh? What? Huh. Really? Okay. Oh, so that why he wasn't able to go through the Shinso barrier? Huh. This is certainly unexpected. I thought it was more of uh a case of I thought it was more a case of, human behavior, not really able to trust each other and that kind of thing. Huh. This was a pretty wholesome turn of events, I gotta say. And they're also pretty strong. So basically, the card that they played allowed them to skip this round. Alright, so I guess it turns out that I was right again. The real battle begins now in the final round. I'm still suspicious if that is Rachel or not. They're fighting each other first? Ooh. What? What is going on? What? Huh? What in the world? Hmm. Kinda fishy here. Ooh. Who is this girl? Ooh. It turns out this is the MVP? And he left. Oh. What? Alright, I was not expecting this kind of development at all. Alright, and so who is it in there? Don't tell me it's another princess or something. This is the Black March, right? Black March. Reunion? Does that reunion... What the hell is going on here? Eh. Oof. This is his boss. Is it because he's an irregular? Huh. So he's also not being truthful as well, huh? Wouldn't you asking him this question right now pretty much already tell him all he needs to know? Yeah, I kind of feel like. What? Oh.
ラヘルと申します。あなたにお願いがあるんです。
Now, I mean, I gotta say, like, everything I expected from this episode was pretty much completely flipped around. So, I don't know, man. Well, I'll rewatch this and see you guys after this. Alrighty, so this was quite the unexpected episode, right? Even though I had a feeling that things were going to go a certain way, they did not actually. And even from the very beginning, just the way that that Kun handled the fourth round, that was indeed quite surprising as well. Although, to be fair, there was actually a lot of hints strewn throughout the first four episodes that actually, if you interpret it literally, then it would all accumulate to what he did in this episode, right? Because from the very beginning, we know that Kun was searching for allies to work together. So that's one thing, and he did it literally. He took some wounded people and turned them into his allies by giving them promises of getting them over the test. During the test with the Shinsu barrier, right, with Leroro, we saw that his bag got caught in the barrier for a little bit, and took him a while to actually pull it through. So that could also be a potential hint as to, there's something funky about that bag, right? And then of course, later on when the test administrator Yuhan Sung, he also made the comment that you were carrying a heavy bag. During that time, I was thinking that he was talking about Kun's situation, right? His background story and so on and so forth. Not really expecting it to be taken literally and having a heavy bag. So that was quite nice, I gotta say. I give them full props. I don't know if this was originally in the webtoon as well. I presume it is so, and I have to give the author full props for having a double entendre here, right? So that was a nice job. And not only was there a lot of hints to this, but if you think about it, it actually fits his character as well, right? Kun has always been saying that he likes to disregard the rules, right? He doesn't really take heed of the rules of this tower, of this test, so on and so forth. He's a rule breaker, right? A bit of a maverick in that regard. So it's entirely like him to do something that's kinda sorta against the rules, but not quite, and actually allowing him to gain a leg up in the competition, right? And he chose some pretty good allies as well. I mean, they more than held their own against two other teams with very little trouble, right? Which makes you kind of wonder, how they got into that situation in the first place, where they needed to be saved or protected by Kun, right? So I think that part doesn't really make as much sense. Maybe them coming out and doing a sneak attack while the others were not looking or whatnot. I mean, I guess in some ways it kind of sort of had that feeling, although not as obvious, right? Because considering that they're all fighters, I would assume that they would quickly know that something was wrong and then turn to meet the threat first. But instead, D3 simply subdued one group first and then had more than enough energy to take on another group just by themselves and complete round 4, right? So but definitely interesting, definitely unexpected, and to me that is always a good thing, right? Keeping me on my toes, not really being able to predict what's going to happen next. That speaks volumes to the creativity and innovation in the storytelling. Moving on, 5th round. I was fully expecting a big epic fight. Unfortunately, we didn't really get that, which is, I guess, some disappointment. I'm not gonna lie. We had the masked lady who came out of nowhere again. I was seriously thinking, what do we have yet another case of some sort of very strong character appearing out of nowhere? Apparently not so. And I gotta say, not only the masked lady, but I was also kind of disappointed by the girl who was on Rachel's team, right? For talking a lot of shit, right? She didn't really seem all that much stronger than all the others, to be honest. So not really sure where her confidence is coming from, but I guess that's kind of irrelevant. On the Masked Lady, though, I do get the feeling that she's going to be a recurring character. The reason for that being, it seems through the anime, they actually put some specific they made sure to put some specific scenes, some camera scenes directly on her. I think what happened there is that she was blinded in her eye by the Shinso that Bam released or turned into, or however you want to call that situation. So she was definitely permanently scarred or hurt by it in some way, probably disfigured potentially. But with the way that they actually still put that sort of focus on her leads me to believe that she's probably going to come back for revenge later, right? So probably something to take note of there. In regards to Bam, right? That's probably the biggest development this episode. So not that surprising, all things considered. I kind of got the feeling that we were going to see his potential somehow. We already saw it kind of in episode 1. Now that they actually did reach another sort of must-win situation, it showed once again. Not really sure if his own potential or it's his potential to wield the Black March, right? Or it could be a combination of both here. And I'm not going to speculate too much on what that actually means. We all know that Bam is an irregular, and apparently, judging by the conversation that Laruro had with Yuhan Song, irregulars are and bits and pieces of context that we got throughout these 5 episodes, irregulars probably are a sort of they're kind of irregulars to this entire system, right? And that probably also gives them some benefits that I have yet to figure out what exactly it is. But if you guys recall back in a few episodes ago when they were talking about Bam, not really of this world, not really of this system, being an outsider in a sort of way, right? I did wonder whether or not being an outsider, being an irregular kind of tied in with how he was able to possess this potential, right? And I'm thinking more and more that that is the case, right? Probably regulars are going to be gated or limited by a specific thing, whereas irregulars have the leg up, an advantage over a manipulation of Shinso or something like that. That remains to be seen, right? But back to the Black March though. She did mention it's been a long time since our reunion, right? Now I was thinking whether or not that had any deeper meaning behind it. For right now though, for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to assume that means since the time from episode 1. Right, because the Black March has been dormant all this time up to now, so it could just be that simple meaning, and there's nothing more behind it. I do kind of wonder though, like what constitutes, what are the requirements for activating the Black March? If we go back to episode 1 and then sort of compare it with this episode, I do wonder if it's a case where it can only be awoken, its true powers be used when Bam actually, I think it might be driven through feelings or emotions, right? Maybe the emotion of really wanting to protect someone or something like that. But that potentially is the is the catalyst for actually being able to use the Black March. I think that's what these particular scenes are getting at least for Bam right now, right? Not to say that he's not going to be able to really take use of the Black March in the future, but at least for right now, I think he has to meet a certain set of requirements in order to activate that power. And by the way, I do believe that the Black March will go back to him because but just a gut feeling, right? I don't think that Lizard Girl. Sorry, I kind of forgot her name already. What is her name, right? I know she's one of the what's she called again? Anak, right? Anak. I don't think Anak is really going to be so so inconsiderate of the situation and really just take the weapon away. I kind of get the feeling that she is going to allow Bam to keep it, at least for the time being, right? That is sort of his weapon as of right now, right? At least until Yuri regroups with him, which who knows how long that will be. And even if they do eventually meet each other in the near future, I kind of get the feeling that the Black March is there to stay with Bam, at least for the foreseeable future. So yeah, that was for I kind of talked about the regulars as well. Definitely they are a special kind of situation in regards to all this. Although that kind of ties in with my whole theory about what the tower actually is, and I think it's a little bit too early for that, right? Beyond that, what else? I guess the conversation between Leroro and Yuhan Song, right? I kind of get the feeling that a lot of people all have different agendas in this series so far. Like they each have the thing that they are pursuing. Just because that Leroro and Yuhan Song are both working for the tower, I guess you could say, doesn't necessarily mean that their goals and objectives are aligned as well. I definitely think that they are all at the end kind of working for their own goals, their own objectives here. Although what that actually is, it's hard to say right now since we have so little information about the actual tower and the actual tests, right? So just something to keep note of for the future. So yeah, so even though this episode definitely went a lot different than I expected, the whole conclusion of the Crown game kind of went different from what I expected. I was expecting, Bam to show his power, but for Rachel's team to eventually win at the very end, because I think it just makes sense for Bam and company to continue to take the test and also create a situation where Bam and Rachel are not going to be able to see each other again for the near future, right? Obviously, Rachel has some reason that she's trying to ignore or distance herself from Bam. Not really sure what that is yet. I had some predictions from the last episode as well, but at least right now, I think we can sort of cross out the fact, cross out the theory that she is, she was just putting up an act or something like that. Although I guess it could be a sort of double situation where originally it was an act and then later on it wasn't. But that's kind of getting too complicated, right? We can go all day with the theories right now as to what Rachel actually is, what she's actually thinking of, but without any new information, which perhaps we're gonna get in the next episode, considering Rachel is making a request to Kun. Beyond that, I'd say just leave it there for right now, right? But I do believe that we're probably not going to see her again anytime soon. She is from a different test group after all, and you gotta maintain the tension here, right? Obviously, we're not going to allow a Bam to instantly be able to ask Rachel like, "Hey, what's going on? Why are you ignoring me? Why don't we just leave? I already found you," or whatnot, or "I'm going to join you," or so on and so forth. We definitely need to avoid that kind of situation. Right? We got to keep the tension. So, probably she's going to make the request to Kun, and then she's going to leave, and then we're probably not going to see her anytime soon again. And whether or not the request is something that Kun will actually tell Bam, that also remains to be seen, right? I could also totally see this being a case where Rachel makes this request to Kun, and then Kun just simply keeps the cards to himself, perhaps also by request of Rachel, right? And we'll probably see that in the next episode. So there we go. That's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And once again, thank you guys for helping me, supporting me all the way to 2,000 subscribers. If there are any of you guys who are out there who have not subscribed yet, it would be great if you could also come and join in the party, right? I don't typically do the whole, subscribe, like, comment kind of spiel, but, I think this is a special occasion, right? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you guys next week as well. Stay tuned, and bye-bye.